Cairo Station. Yes, that's right, folks. This is a early contender for one of the breakthrough Egyptian films to kind of make it mainstream. I don't know too much about Egyptian film and like their industry, which is, something maybe I should look into if I'm going to be talking about movies like this every day in my life. I should investigate more into this. But there's some countries where there's breakthroughs that come to America all the time, more Asian-centric, European-centric sometimes. There's just countries that make good movies that just don't break through internationally. Maybe Egypt's one of them. Maybe there's a huge back catalog of Egypt films I should look into, and I'd like to. But during the Criterion Flash sale recently, I bought Cairo Station, one of the only entries they have from Egypt in the Criterion closet, so I was like, let's do it. Let's watch Cairo Station, a film I knew very little about, but it looked interesting to me, and I was pleasantly surprised with what I was getting here. Now, this film, I think it really subverted what I expected it to be, which is always a good thing. When you go into a film with like something on your mind, like the wanderlust, look at the beauty of the world and how love can handle stuff, and then you get something that's a complete subversion of that, that's kind of cool. This is really fun. In a very specific way. Fun might be the wrong word, but I had fun watching it. It is such an interesting idea put to screen, truly. And I'm like, oh, this really was before a lot of the stuff that would happens with some of these types of leading men and these characters, isn't it? Kind of interesting to see the progression of this type of lead character. So this is directed by Yusuf Chahine, or Yusuf Chahine. I'm not sure how you'd pronounce his name perfectly. He also is the lead, I guess you would say. Quinawi is kind of the lead of this film. Anyways, there is some narration that takes place. This entire film pretty much transpires over the events of like the Cairo train station in, the 50s, and the world's a changing place is essentially what's being set up there. And you have this newspaper salesman. He runs a newsstand, Madbouli, and he hires like this down on his luck, unhoused person, Quinawi, who just is a dreamer. He wants to be happy and in love, but he's got a limp and he's looked down upon from the world around him. So Madbouli says, hey, you can come work for me and like walk around and sell people newspapers. So that gives him the job. And he lives in like some abandoned shack near the train station, and he puts pin-up pictures of all these beautiful women that he sees in magazines or clippings from newspaper. And he's like, one day I'm going to be in love like the way these beautiful women are, just gorgeous, and they'll love me too. So, I mean, it could go down the route of this is like a guy who's desperately in love and he's super horny, right? Doesn't really go that route. It's more like the obsession we have towards beauty, and kind of weird to think about. We'll get more into it as we go along. So it starts off like that. Here's the narration from Madbouli, and he's like, I don't know, one day things got weird at the Cairo station, and we see all the playing parts that are taking place. You have Quinawi, who's trying to sell the papers, and then you have Abu Suri, or Surah. I'm not sure the pronunciation, but Abu Surah is a guy that works at the station. He works on the tracks. He's just like a general contractor, laborer type. He is in the midst of both getting a union representative from the government to come down and see how he's working here with his guys, and he's also getting married the next day to Hanuma. And Hanuma is like this ragtag girl who's like with the other young women of the station. They steal Coca-Cola cans and bottles. I guess it's more bottles because it's the 50s still. And they like jump on the rail carts and just like try to sell them for profit. They're thieves who are trying to make their own money. So those are the three stories going on. We have a union rep coming, we have beautiful girls stealing Coca-Cola, and we have a cripple who's in love. So those are our guys. We have Kunawe, who is in love with Hanuma, and Hanuma is getting married to Abu Surah. And, they're all like work-a-day, normal people that just work at the station. There's nothing crazy about them. Well, Hanuma shouldn't be there, but that's what she does. That's how she met Abu, and that's what they're doing. That's just the life they live in. And you think it's going to be kind of just like a straightforward, oh, this girl's going to choose the guy who genuinely loves her as opposed to this man who is just either using her for something. But I think Abu generally loves her, and he's willing to like look past her literally like thievery because she's somebody worth having in your life. And it's kind of interesting how it explores that. You have a bunch of other side characters who are kind of interesting. There's literally like a very side plot of Quinawe watching this like young couple, this kid who comes from money and this young girl who like works at the train station, and they sneak away every time their family crosses paths, and they're like, oh, they're in love, but they can never be together because of status and stuff. And it's just Quinawe being a romantic. We say it's romantic because he's got these idolized versions of women in his mind. They're beautiful, they're nice, they care about you. So one day, Quinawe is watching as Hanuma is just like going around and she's stealing the cokes and she's just having a good time, evading the authorities, evading the police, evading her to-be husband. And she goes to like a town center, or maybe it's still at like the station somewhere. She just like escapes to like a nice water fountain and she's chilling there. And then Quinawe shows up and he's like, hey, I have this necklace I want to give you, and this is my way of proposing to you. And she's like, this is nice, but it's got to be fake because you're a man of no class or stature. And he's like, no, I promise it's real. I want to be with you. I love you. You're the most beautiful thing in the world. I have all these magazine covers of beautiful women. You're way more beautiful than them. And she's like, you think this is a real offer? This is nothing. You have nothing. We're going to go back to your village and raise cattle? That's stupid. At least with Abu, I will be happy and set. Like, he's a guy going places. You're nothing. And you think it's going to be a lesson. And I find this so interesting, maybe because I didn't know what this movie was going to be. You think it's going to be a lesson of she's going to choose the man that genuinely loves her. But there's an instance where Abu takes her away because he catches her stealing stuff, and you think he's going to be like, this abusive guy who's going to beat her, and they yell at each other a bit, and she does get hit by him. But then they have like a really fun moment, and they laugh it off, and he's like, you are so much work, but I do genuinely love you, and I'm going to do my best to make you never have to do this again. And you're like, oh, Abu's like a good guy. He's like a genuinely good guy who's got a lot going on. He cares about the people he's working with. Like, there's incidents where guys get crates dropped on their hands or their feet, or they're literally broken, or a railroad car is going to hit them or something. And he's like, these workers deserve better. I want the government to come down and see how we're doing. And the owner of the station is like, yeah, right. Come on, man. You think anybody gives a shit what's happening to you guys? You leave me, you're going to be screwed over. But of course, it's not the case because unions work. I love it. I mean, it's unbelievable that this is the story. Because I'm like, it's sort of like a love triangle. Who's this girl going to choose? Is Hanuma going to choose the strong, strapping man who has a nice paying job and is trying to form a union and take care of his workers? Or is she going to choose this incel? And yes, I'm using the term incel because it really becomes clear after the rejection. You see that Quinawe's like, well, if I can't have you, no one deserves you. So as you see Hanuma and Abu are getting ready to go on like their trip where they're going to get married in his village or whatever, they got to load some crates up onto the train. And what happens is Quinawe is going to steal a knife, hide it in his newspapers, and he's going to kill Hanuma for rejecting him. But what he doesn't know is that it's not Hanuma he kills because it's dark in the room. He attacks another young girl. I believe is it Halawatim? Is that the girl that he attacks by accident? I can't remember. There's another young girl that kind of like works with Hanuma and steals the coke and everything. He attacks her and stuffs her in the crate, and we think she's dead, but she's not actually dead, as we'll get to later on in the movie. And it takes a very sinister turn in the back half, and even more than the back half. I'd say like the last 30 minutes, you're just like, oh, okay, I guess this is a terrible guy. And that's the other thing about this movie. Like, I was just amazed at how the two lead characters are very unlikable. I think Quinawe is presented like he's a troubled guy who's desperate for love, but his actions speak louder than that. Like, he is a terrible person. He's entitled. He is mad at the world around him. And yes, a lot of people treat him like shit, but he takes it the next step over and just dismisses everybody and thinks he's superior because he knows what real love is. And he tries to kill a woman who rejected him. And then you have Hanuma, who, I mean, she's stunning. She's a beautiful woman. I really like seeing everything she's doing. But what a troublesome woman who is just intentionally trying to get in trouble. She's just so comfortable being the, oh yeah, I am attractive. I can make all you do stupid shit. I love being the center of attention. And I don't really want to get away from this life. If I had to choose between marrying the union guy or spending time with my girls, I'm going to spend time with my girls and steal Coca-Cola. And I can't blame her. Like, this is also quietly about, like, the women's revolution of Cairo. And there's, like, specific moments about, like, women finally being allowed to, like, show their faces and, like, having the right to exist and vote and not get married. And I'm like, okay, go off, king. I find that to be very interesting. Well, the main focus is this young woman who's about to get married to either a terrible guy or a better guy. The background's like, you actually don't have to get married, girlfriend. Go live your life. And I think that's kind of cool. It makes a lot of sense, actually. I like that. She should choose neither of them, which is, I guess, the lesson of the story. Maybe? I don't know. And it just kind of keeps spiraling from there. We just slowly see that the woman that Kunawi thinks he killed isn't actually dead, and it's not Hanuma. So she is taken out of the crate. It's kind of set up where some people think that it might have been Abu that attacked her because he wanted to take down Hanuma, but that's not the case. So once Kunawi learns that it's not Hanuma that's in there, he goes to find her and stalks her, and it's just kind of terrifying. This guy with a knife who's running around this train trying to capture a woman because she rejected him, and it leads to them having a huge confrontation where, like, everybody who's a side character or anything in this movie is just, like, screaming at Abu. Like, you're clearly not the bad guy. It's Kunawi. We were right about the guy. And yes, it's kind of that, like, shaming, like, this guy for not being, like, the standardly beautiful and broken man, that he's actually the bad guy. But they chase him down to, like, the tracks, and there's, like, a chance they could get hit by a train. They have to, like, stop the train before when Kunawi and Hanuma, who are, like, lying on the tracks and he's choking her out, are there. They don't die from the train running them over. And it's just this really powerful moment in, like, this last sequence where Madbuli is, like, slowly approaching Kunawi, and he's like, hey, man, you're doing great. Why don't we, like, actually get you ready to go get married to her? Like, it's going to be awesome. We can get it all set up. You're like, you're my son, dude. Like, let's figure this all out. Meanwhile, you have Abu Sura, who's, like, slowly sneaking up to save his betrothed. And it's powerful and kind of interesting. Like, if you're not expecting this turn in the movie, and again, I wasn't. I didn't know what I was going to get into. It is genuinely interesting the surprises this movie takes, where it doesn't try to present Kunawi as a good guy. Because I don't think he is. I don't think he is, and I don't think that's the presentation we're trying to give you here. And it's very interesting that Shahin is playing this guy. I think that says a lot about you as a person to put yourself in that position. I don't know him personally. I don't know a lot of his history. Maybe there's a lot of rejection in his life, and he just wants people to think he's the victim. I don't know. But for what the story presents to me, I don't think Kunawi is the victim. I think he's an idealist who lost track of stuff and thinks he's deserving of women who don't actually love him. And don't force yourself to be with a woman, guys. Like, come on. I don't know if this is the episode to really say that, but come on. This movie's about women's right to refuse marriage. Let them have the right to refuse your proposal or your interventions. Like, come on. You're not special. That's the day at Cairo Station. Trains look really cool. I've never been on, like, a passenger train. I think I want to. Just, like, for one trip, maybe go around the country or something. That might be kind of nice. But here in Canada, it's not, like, a big thing to do trains. I think you have to go, like, to Europe or even, like, a subway station. But that's a whole other thing. It looks really fun. And it's a really beautiful movie. It's got a good score. It just looks, like, hot and smoldering and really makes you want to have a Coca-Cola. But also just accept that love is complicated and you're never going to find the ones that matter to you. And isn't that life? Very interesting. You know, it's like 76 minutes and has a lot to say and says it really well. It's like an effective little piece. I enjoy it a lot. I think this is one you should seek out and just watch as a story unfolds in a way you're not really expecting. It's kind of Hitchcockian in some elements too. Like, it's truly interesting. Truly interesting to see, like, the fall of a character. Like, Is Kwame the first incel? No, he's obviously not. But you know what I mean. Like, come on. It's gorgeous and fun. It's Cairo Station. So, thank you all for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.